Story 1. You become the distant, mysterious relative whose wealth a child inherited, like in the movies. Story 2. Ultimate life hack. Die in debt. Creditors can sell my teeth when I'm dead. Haha. Story 3. You can loot my corpse. I literally do not care who takes what. The white PlayStation 5 controller does not hold a charge anymore, though. This post has attracted a lot of attention about PlayStation 5 controller batteries. I am on my second controller in 3.5 years, so I did not think it was a big deal, but I would definitely recommend turning off haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers to save battery because those features will drain the battery significantly. If you want to conserve it further, you can also turn off the speaker, the microphone, and the light-emitting diode lights, but I do not think those drain it nearly as much. Story 4. My brother has a plan in place. If he dies, his estate will try to buy up as much medical debt as possible for pennies on the dollar and forgive the debts it purchases. Story 5. If I have anything to leave, I would leave it to my spouse, my siblings, and their hypothetical children, and to meaningful charities. Story 6. I will not have anything to leave, but if I did, I would choose a charity. Story 7. I had a vasectomy last year because I did not want children at all. When I got home from the hospital, they were still there. Story 8. I live with my brother. Neither of us is getting married or having children, and there is no other family we are close to. We set up a joint trust. He is the one with all the money. I do not have any assets, so I let him choose where our estate and funds will go. He chose National Public Radio. I have no opinion. Story 9. I do not care what happens after I die. I am dead. Do whatever the fuck you want. Ride my corpse like a sled. Hang me in effigy. Burn me for winter heat. I will die in massive debt so my creditors can fuck off, laughing out loud. Story 10. I own 100 acres. When I die, I plan to give it to the town where it is, provided they keep it as a park open to the public forever. Logistically, I have not yet figured out the best way to do that, but I am young and have many years to decide, so my plans may change. Story 11. I am 60 years old and I do not have a will. I do not have any children and I have never been married. I have not decided what to do. It is a difficult decision because if I leave my estate to a charity, much of it may be used for administrative fees. I might instead give it directly to a person who really needs it and surprise them. Story 12. Charity. If I know when death is coming, I will take out as large a loan as I can and donate it all anonymously. Story 13. Planned Parenthood took care of me when I had nothing. I plan to pay them back in spades. Story 14. My 3 best friends. I had my will drafted earlier this year. Story 15. I am going to set up a scholarship fund at my university for young women studying in my discipline. Story 16. The nieces, nephews, and goddaughters I spoil rotten can take my belongings. The money will go to libraries and museums. Story 17. I plan to leave my estate to my spouse, if I have one. I had originally wanted to leave it to my mother, but she has a toxic relationship with my sister and would likely give everything to her. If I have no spouse, I will divide my belongings among the people who were special to me, giving each person some items. Story 18. I originally arranged for everything to go to my siblings. After several years of therapy and acknowledging family dysfunction, I recently changed my plans so my best friend, his partner, and her daughter will inherit. They have been my family for more than 15 years. I also established a pet trust for my dog. Story 19. I have younger cousins who have my blessing to take my belongings. Story 20. All my savings go to dogs in need. I do not care about the rest. Story 21. I am going to leave everything to the children I did not want. Story 22. Assuming I have any money left, the public broadcasting service needs to be funded. Story 23. I do not really have any family. I suppose my friends will have their pick. I do not have a spouse and I have a degenerative disease, so I imagine that by the time it starts to affect daily function, I will have to dispose of the majority of my worldly assets. Whatever is left, I hope, goes to people who need or want them. I would hate to cause a sudden increase in landfill or to contribute to that. Story 24. My cat's ashes should either be buried or cremated with me. Everything else should be sold. Please make sure the Simpsons, Godzilla, and Pokemon items go to collectors. Do not throw them away. Story 25. I am leaving weird clues for some distant relative to follow. They will lead to $2.86. Story 26. I do not think I will make a fortune, but whatever I have I plan to leave to animal shelters. Story 27. I want it sold off and the profits donated to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer charities. Story 28. I have left everything to my sister in my will. I figure that will even things out, even if she has to sort out my funeral. If I know I am dying in advance, I will probably donate some to charity and offer certain possessions to friends and family. It depends on my financial situation and how long I will be ill before I die. Story 29. I donate regularly to a hospice for children. I think they deserve my worldly goods more than some people in my life. Story 30. Multiple Sclerosis Society, Public Broadcasting Service, and nieces and nephews unless they grow up to be assholes. Story 31. My nieces and nephews. I hope the cats will understand. Story 32. Die with Zero is a good book on this subject, but I would not want to die with massive debt to pass on to anyone. Story 33. People who do not want children are smarter. It does not matter who gets everything in the end. Story 34. Assuming I have any money left and my partner outlives me, everything would go to her. If I outlive her, the money would be split equally between my two younger siblings. Story 35. Leave what? We might not even have a country in 10 years, let alone anything worth passing down. Fuck it, I'll donate it or give it to a friend who's alive. Who cares at that point? Story 36. I do not expect to leave anything. That is part of why I do not plan to have children. I do not see things getting much better for me. I am poor and only getting by with my mother's support. I will get on my own feet soon, then I will float just above water until I die. I will not be in a position to look after a child. If I die first, my sister can have anything of value that was mine. If I do not care what happens to my belongings. I do not expect to have many of them anyway. Story 37. I am having a party at my wake. Everyone is getting a taser. The last person standing gets all my belongings. Story 38. Leave everything. Whoever wants my debts can have them. Story 39. I don't care. I'll be dead. I have no family to leave anything to. Story 40. Nephews and nieces. My aunt left me a small amount and it really helped. Story 41. My husband and I have wills. Everything is left to national and local cat charities. Story 42. My mother's final attempt to get me to have children. But who will you leave your house to? I don't care. I'll be dead. Story 43. My family, my cats, and I want donations to go to our local animal shelters. Story 44. One of my friends said it's going to be about $36, so I'm not overly worried about it. Story 45. I am an only child, and my brother-in-law and his children are terrible. We are leaving everything to my best friend's children. Story 46. Frankly, I do not plan on dying with a lot to my name. What is the point in hoarding if I do not plan to have children? There is no reason to hold on to things to pass them on. Essentially, I will live my life to the fullest and die happy. Story 47. My sister and her husband do not have any living children. As of now, their plan is to leave everything to my two kids. Story 48. I do not have children and I am divorced. If I remain childless and never remarry, I will probably leave everything to a former student of mine. I am an assistant principal now. It would be a nice surprise for them, I think. Story 49. Bold of you to assume I will have anything other than debt to leave behind. Laughing out loud. Story 50. I endowed a scholarship at my university. I also support several charities. Story 51. Who gives a shit? I'm dead. Serious answer. Either my extended family or some kind of charitable donation. Probably a bit of both. Story 52. I am the youngest sibling, so I support my nieces, nephews, and charities. Story 53. It is pretty bold of you to assume I have something to leave. Story 54. I will leave everything to charities and nonprofit organizations that work in areas I care about. Story 55. Possible options include a scholarship fund to help people attend post-secondary education, a cancer research fund, or a nonprofit serving child-free residents in nursing homes. I have considered starting a volunteer program called Daughter for a Day, where volunteers visit child-free residents in nursing homes. There will be more child-free residents in nursing homes as I get older, but that is just an idea I am thinking about. I am in a very fortunate situation where, unless the world goes badly wrong, I will receive some inheritance money. I feel good about being able to do something meaningful with it instead of just passing it on to my nephews. They will receive a large inheritance from my sister anyway. Story 56. My two nieces and my godson. None of the responsibilities, all of the freedom to build generational wealth. I have never regretted not wanting to bear or raise children. Story 57. Most people without children have nothing of real value to leave behind. Those who do have something valuable generally have children. Story 58. It's really cute of you to think I have anything to leave. Story 59. My sister's children are my beneficiaries. I don't own any assets. I only have cash. Story 60. Nephew and godchildren. Why are you all so concerned that we have no children? Story 61. My goddaughter has no idea she is in line for a nice house and my respectable nest egg. Story 62. I am a 72-year-old woman, child-free by choice. I am leaving my money to my great nieces and nephews, to animal rescue organizations, to specific charities, and to special friends. No worries. It is all planned out. Story 63. Shadow Cats is a non-profit cat shelter in Texas that takes in permanently disabled cats, cats with feline leukemia virus and feline immunodeficiency virus, and cats with behavioral issues that would not be adopted. I am working with a lawyer to bequeath my estate to them. Story 64. Bold of you to assume I will have anything to leave behind. Story 65. A lady I worked with who is not Native American said she is planning on leaving all of her possessions to one of the local tribes. I tried to tell her they are not interested in her old junk, but she did not listen. Story 66. My family is large. It will all go somewhere even if I have no heirs. Story 67. I have 9 nephews and 1 niece. That is plenty of children to leave things to. Story 68. Whatever I have is going to my youngest brother, but it is not much. Story 69. I'm 67. I have started giving things to my nieces, such as jewelry, vintage clothes, and so on, so they can enjoy them now. I will leave my house either to them. If they want it, they can sell it or keep it. I will not care by then, or to the Humane Society or another animal rescue organization. Story 70. Some to our nephew, some to our church, and some to other good causes. Story 71. If I even have anything, I'll leave it to a friend or a person in need. Story 72. I have about a dozen little cousins. I am really close to 6 of them as well, laughing out loud. Story 73. If I have no one, I am donating the money to my local library and animal shelters. Story 74. I figure the dishwasher box I will be living in can be recycled, and the shopping cart can be returned to Kroger. Story 75. Laughing out loud. It's 2025. If you are 40 or younger, 70% of you will not have retirement savings or own any assets. Sad but true. Story 76. My cat. It will be the job of someone to wait on it hand and foot. Story 77. Bold of the original poster to assume I will have anything of value left that I have not sold to stem the tide of ever-rising prices toward the end of my life. Story 78. I'm going to try to spend all my money before I die, and whatever is left will be donated to a horse sanctuary. Story 79. To be honest, I have no idea. I am only 26, so I hope I have enough time to figure it out before I die. I probably will not have much of value, but I worry about the things I collect. I want them to go to someone who will treasure them, not to a thrift store where they might be thrown away if they do not sell or are deemed not in good enough condition. Story 80. My loved ones, like my wife, friends, and family. You all forget that children are not the only family members. Story 81. Charity. Either donate my body to science or have it turned into a tree. Story 82. I plan to sell everything I own, then use sex workers and cocaine until I die. Story 83. We plan on having adventures until we can't. We won't have much money left to worry about. Story 84. I support the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals and local animal shelters. I am considering starting a grant or scholarship program for the music program at my old high school. Many low-income students need instruments, reeds, cork grease, valve oil, drumsticks, and other supplies. Story 85. Whatever is left will be donated to my favorite animal rescue shelters. Story 86. My husband, then my little sister, who will be responsible for taking care of our special needs nephew. Story 87. I am already a minimalist, so I will likely have few possessions to dispose of. After retiring, I will leave any remaining money to no-kill animal shelters. I am 54 years old, so this is getting closer to reality. Story 88. My partner has a very specific list of where my tiny bits of property will go. I know my putrid family will come knocking when they see my obituary. Fortunately, everyone is getting something, from a penny to a piece of dog poop, so no one can contest it. The biggest argument will come from my massive rare book collection, but I would rather he sell it or donate it than let any of those cunts get a scrap. Story 89. I have my friend's 3-year-old twins listed as the beneficiaries of my retirement account. I am probably not living long enough to see retirement, and the $225,000 I have in that account will at least put them through college. Story 90. I wanted to go to an education and startup fund for future generations, but I am sure it will be split up and squandered. Story 91. Nieces and nephews. I do not have much to leave them, but it would be nice if they had something to remember their cool aunt by. Story 92. I am leaving mine in a growth fund for scholarships at the local community college for majors in the field I studied and worked in. Another fund to help people pay to have their pets cremated and the ashes returned because it is very expensive, and a final amount for animal foster organizations. Since some of it was inherited, my mother asked that some be left in a fund for a school where she worked. Story 93. I have younger children in my family whom I care about, and they can have it all. Story 94. Donate to the hospital wing that provided most of my father's treatments. Give more if they manage to save him. Story 95. If I have anything left, it will go to my nephews and niece, and they can decide who will be my favorite. Story 96. Maybe a close friend or my nephews and nieces. I do not want children, but I have close family. Story 97. I am disabled, not allowed to have any real savings, and in debt. What will I have to leave anyone? Story 98. My nephew. Everything will go to him, and that's all that matters. Story 99. Our wills include trust details to donate everything to our favorite dog and cat rescues and shelters. Story 100. Easy. I do not have anything to give anyone, so it is a win. Story 101. Bold of you to assume I will have anything left when I die. Story 102. Does our generation even have anything? Is that why we do not have kids? Story 103. I've never thought about that. I guess I'll figure that out when I have assets. Story 104. Who says I have anything worth leaving behind? If I have money, it can go to charity. My possessions can go wherever. I'm not using them anymore. I'm dead. Story 105. The problem is people believing their belongings are worth anything while they are still alive. This is why my generation is currently stuck cleaning out houses filled to the rafters with collectibles from the silent generation and baby boomers. Either the parents have died or they have to sell the house to pay for a nursing home. Heirlooms are one thing, but collectible plates from the 1980s, Beanie Babies, and crystal knickknacks are not. When I die, I will leave my estate to ocean conservation and animal charities. Story 106. I plan to spend as much of my money as possible. What is left over I will donate to a charity that rescues and provides medical care to street dogs in a place where I vacation frequently. Story 107. No one. I am going to spend and give away whatever I have left once I get near the end. Story 108. I never considered this. I assumed I would have to spend all my money on healthcare and leave nothing behind. Story 109. Don't give a flying fig what happens after I've shuffled off this mortal coil. Story 110. I am leaving all my money to the local animal shelters and some to my sister. Story 111. This is not my problem, but I would appreciate it if anyone other than my stepmother received them and if a pyramid were built with whatever remains. Story 112. Why leave anything to anyone? You earned it. They did not. Bend it. It is only money. Leave it to St. Jude Hospital or to someone else. Story 113. To my partner or my closest friends. I do not really care what happens to my money after I die, but it would be nice to leave something to the people who chose to stick around. Story 114. I'm probably leaving it to a friend's child who thinks I'm weird but cool. Story 115. My nieces and nephews will inherit my estate when I pass away. Story 116. Probably my siblings. If, by some horror, I outlive them, it would go to their children. I have heirlooms intended for a daughter, but my siblings' children are all boys or non-binary. If I know it is coming, I will let them come pick items and will get rid of as much as I can so they will not have to deal with much. Story 117. A charity specifically aimed at helping victims of human trafficking. Story 118. What will I care? I will be dead, and it is pretty bold to assume we will have anything to pass down besides debt. Story 119. I follow the philosophy that you cannot take it with you. Upon my passing, I will have my sibling place my body and my few worldly possessions in a small wooden boat, set the boat on a large body of water, and set it on fire to consume my remains and possessions. Story 120. I'll leave a couple of million to a kid I never spoke to in my elementary school. It'll mess with their head and everyone else's for the rest of their lives. Not really. Friends get some fun money, and the rest goes to animal rescue. Story 121. I am not going to have anything to leave in this economy, sweetheart. Story 122. My buddy has been a genuine friend for over 20 years and has 2 small daughters. I am working very hard for them. Pick a good school, girls. It is on me. Story 123. The joke's on you. Do you think I have money while I'm alive in this economy? Story 124. I will deplete all my assets and donate what is left to animal shelters and other nonprofits. Story 125. When I die, I will leave my credit card or loan bill to the bank. Story 126. I do not think there will be much to inherit from me. For a long time I had only a sister who I felt did not deserve a single cent. I had written a will intending to give everything to 2 good friends who had always had very little money for different reasons. It felt good to think I could provide a bit of joy and an easier end of life for them. Unfortunately, within 2 years I lost both friends unexpectedly. They left a gaping hole in my life. There is a third friend who has a little girl I am very fond of, but I recently learned my friend is much better off than I am, so I think money would be wasted. I intend to give her something as a gesture, for example, money for a holiday. On the other hand, I have gained a niece from that sister. Contact has improved, and I could see leaving the inheritance to my niece. I will not include her in my will until she is older, while we remain in contact, and there is less risk that if I die early my sister will spend the money. I do not have enough assets to place in a trust. I will probably give half to another friend and half to a charity. I should write a new will because if I die today the state would inherit everything by default. Story 127. There is no play. I don't care about that. When I die I'm gone. Nothing to worry about. Story 128. You mean my loans? They are up for grabs while I am alive. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.